Wednesday, so today is a special episode. We're doing Talk Shop Live. For those of you that are new to the content, head over to YouTube. I've got over 1,700 videos talking about industrial sales, industrial marketing. Sometimes we bring in some super cool guests and do a Talk Shop episode. And today's guest is an OG to the tribe. He has been following our content, engaging. He had an amazing trip at IMTS, which we will get into those details. I feel like because of that trip, he is now on the path to becoming an influencer in the space. So let's bring him on in, Laura. We've got Mr. Tim Drinkwater. What's going on, Tim?
Hey, Kyle. Just living a dream, man.
Living the dream over there. So for those of the audience that haven't seen you blow up on LinkedIn over the last couple of weeks, tell the audience who you are, who you own, and what you do.
Sure. My name's Tim Drinkwater. I founded and own Accurate Machine Products. We're a small machining job shop in Janesville, Wisconsin. Like all our shops, we say we focus on quality customer service and delivery, right? But we try to take it kind of the next level with our customers and getting that design for manufacturing component and working in product lines type of thing. But the big thing that's made me blow up recently is the amazing opportunity that Kennametal put out there with DN Solutions and the giveaway of the SVM 4100, and was the lucky winner. It was pretty amazing. Going to get turned on officially next week. So really looking forward to what we're going to do with that at the shop, and also some content. So
like lots of trade shows, there's giveaways, but in this trade show in particular, Tim, they're giving away a machine, right?
Right.
Walk me through. So was it like a fishbowl? You just threw your business card in? Did you have to sign up digitally? What was that like? You walk up to the Kennametal booth, which was awesome, and walk me through that process.
Yeah, we walked up to the booth. It was our first stop of the day. It was Friday morning. My wife Amanda and I had the day alone at IMTS because that's part of our, I don't know, it's a date day for us, I guess. And our first stop for the day was to go hit the Kennametal booth, chat with them a little bit. I've always loved Kennametal's product line. We don't use a whole lot of it yet, but for various other reasons. But I've always wanted to use more of it, so we made sure to stop by. Had a good chat with Angel. I forget Angel's last name, but cool dude out of California. We chatted a bit, and I asked to sign up for the machine while we were there. He took a couple of details on a tablet, not the standard IMTS scanner thing, separate thing they were doing. And it was all part of, the random generator giveaway thing, the app I'm sure they were using. Got a selfie in front of the booth just for good measure while we were there, because I've been working the more marketing angle and LinkedIn posts and such. So that post actually went live on LinkedIn before the giveaway, and went about our day. Went and checked out Yamazon, Mazak. Was planning on stopping at DN Solutions booth after lunch. Still did that, but it was a little different experience. But we were waiting for Connie's Pizza, down on one of those intermediate levels. And I got a message on LinkedIn from Kennametal saying, "Hey, are you still at the show?" And then it just kind of turned into a bit of a whirlwind. Jogged back over to, was that West Hall? Then you saw the big Eddie announcement, I'm sure. If you haven't, you can find it again. It's on my posts, of course. Yeah, that's the quick version of it, I guess. There's a lot in between there. So amazingly grateful to Kennametal and DN, of course. Great people. They, we sat and chatted with them for a couple of hours even before we left the booth, and kind of let the rest of it soak in. It's I can't say enough how grateful we are, and it's really going to be a game changer for our shop. We were planning on stopping at the DN booth after lunch anyways, just to check out their product line, because I feel like they've always had a good mix of machines in both the milling and the turning. Now we're a DN. Now we're a DN shop, I guess. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so for those people that aren't in machining, so you entered in a giveaway to win a machine. You ended up winning. Is that a mill turn or a straight mill machine?
It's a 3-axis milling machine, more of their base level machine. But hey, that's not a problem at all for me. It's a kind of a direct fit with the type of work we do. The way DN sells those machines, they don't leave any of the options out really. They kind of come in into the States with most options on it. I've been doing some follow-up posts on some of the neat things I found inside it as it's been sitting here waiting to get started up. But yeah, it's a 12,000 RPM spindle, 30 by 16 table. We actually made the kind of the decision on our end to convert it to BT40, which is a different size tool. Well, not different size, different standard tool holder, because our shop uses all BT40. So we had to wait a few days for those parts to come in.
Yeah, so that, I mean, from a price standpoint, what is that thing like? $75,000-$100,000 machine, roughly?
Yeah, I don't have all the details on it. I would say it's probably in that 80 to 100 range, depending upon what little options you might add. We also all added a probe to it, and a setter to it. So those parts are kind of trickling in via UPS and all that. And then the official install is going to be next week. So
just so everybody's aware, Tim goes to IMTS, enters a drawing, wins an $80,000 to $100,000 machine. That's like winning the car when you go someplace. That's like out there spinning. It's like enter your chance to win the car. Nobody ever wins the car though.
right.
And this time they're like, hey, we don't want to bring this machine back with us, so let's give it away. And you ended up being that winner. That I feel like that's just that's how it goes when you're out there just doing what you do and just trying to help people and doing whatever you can. I just feel like the universe comes back and is like, hey man, hey, here's a free machine for you. Right?
Right.
Which that's where it all starts.
Yeah, I'll go with the good karma on that one, man.
Yeah.
And I will continue with the good karma and putting it out there to help others. And many people told me it couldn't happen to a better person, so I'm going to make sure I live to that.
When I saw that, I was running around the office like, hey, guess what? Telling people, and they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's so good for him. And like everybody loves you on at least from our team. Everybody loves you, loves your energy, loves your vibe, what you're doing. And they basically said the same thing. Like if anybody there that we knew ahead of time could win the machine, like you'd be the perfect candidate to do that. So I feel like you deserved it. I feel like that's something that was needed to just give you that positive affirmation that, dude, you're going down the right path with everything that you're doing.
Right. Thank you.
So
our goal in the short term here, well, longer term too, is to make sure that we get enough, content and some additional postings on it that make Kennametal and DN and maybe even some others consider it as doing it again next show. So
yeah,
a little bit we can maybe do to help pay it forward. So
take me back to how long ago did you start your company?
We incorporated in 2007. Started making parts in my garage, and then 2008 I thought I had timed the market well and decided to make it a full-time thing. Gave notice that my employer was managing a much larger shop that ran 3 shifts and doing millions of dollars in sales a month. But gave my notice there, and was supposed to move into our suite we were renting, but then that suite was delayed then a couple more months. But eventually got moved in a little 2,000 square foot industrial suite and hammered away in there made it through the Great Recession. That was a struggle. Kind of had to adapt what my goals and priorities were for the business to make that happen. And then in 2013, we were able to move into a much larger facility and again, trucked along in there for a while. I posted a picture of that, our initial move into that shop a week or so ago. And we've continued to grow, added staff, added machines, upgraded machines, kind of that whole story. A couple years now ago, we were able to buy the building, or I guess get a mortgage on the building, right? So you don't fully own it till you pay it off. But yeah, now we're cruising along in the building with the 5 acres we have here, investing into the property a little bit more and continuing that growth. And now we've got this amazing opportunity with the DN that is going to catapult us forward. So
yeah, so if we go by highlighting facts, just so everybody can understand what it is and what you do. So you've been around since 2007, CNC machine shop, milling, turning, any specific services that you do or don't touch?
So milling and turning, of course. We don't get into really any grinding or EDM. We also handle outsourcing of painting, anodizing, Welding. We used to do some welding in house, but now we got a good partnership with a local company. They put in a robotic cell, so most of that gets sent there now. We also do finished packaging, light assembly work. We get involved in sometimes we get involved early on in the design phases. So we offer that as a service too. Learned over the last few years to maybe be a little bit more selective about saying no to some things. I've in the past maybe got myself in a little trouble by taking on a job that convinced myself we could figure it out. And while we did figure it out, it wasn't a money maker. So, but yeah, generally we love looking at projects early on in the development process. There's a few I could talk. Well, I can't talk about because I got NDAs in place, but we've helped develop product, all the way from the base level, working with engineering teams and helping them design. DFM is the term now, design for manufacturing, and redesign parts to be easier to machine, so you can do it in 2 ops rather than 4 type of stuff. Really enjoy that type of work. Also kind of fill the coffers with more blanket orders and contract work as well.
So blanket orders, contract work. What's the main industry breakdown that you have right now, as far as you in aerospace, defense, military, biomed? What type of stuff do you guys get into?
Most of our stuff is going ultimately into the consumer markets, but we've kind of got it spread out into different niches, all the way from ceiling television mounts to high-end photography mounts, to jet ski performance parts. Then you got your standard industrial widgets, blocks, spacers, that type of stuff. No idea what it is, just making it to print. We are working on our own little product line we're trying to develop, which is looking at doing kind of similar to the television mounts, but more for the power over Ethernet type devices. So security cameras, even some lighting systems nowadays, that type of stuff. So mostly ends up in the consumer market at some point, but we're dealing at the more the back end manufacturing levels. So, but that's also where we get into that finished packaging, so that it's e-commerce ready.
All right. So you've been around since 07. How big is your building now that you're in? Like 5,000 square feet?
8,000 square feet.
8,000? Dang.
Yep. 8,000
That's a
square
good
feet.
size.
We've got, it's the building we could find in our particular area. It's hard to find any industrial space with 3-phase power that's under 20,000 square feet. So when we found this, we kind of, I don't say jumped on it, but it was about the only option. So it's kind of an old building that leaks a lot in the winter, but now that we own it, we're working at fixing that stuff up. But along with that, it's got 2 overhead cranes, so we have crane coverage over the whole shop floor, which is kind of a
Very
nice
cool.
perk. Yeah.
And you're in Janesville, Wisconsin, which I know well because I lived in Roscoe, Illinois, which is only about 5 to 12 minutes away, depending on how fast you're going. Lived there for a few years. Always the best place to stop if you need a break on your way to Madison and north of there. So kind of like it's like a sleepy town, right? Because there's not a whole lot going on from my experience whenever I used to go there, but there is behind the scenes. It's not like I know a lot of people that have businesses in the surrounding Janesville area.
Yeah, it's amazing how many larger businesses are kind of started in Janesville. We don't have a huge manufacturing sector other than the GM plant, which is now closed. But it's leveled now. It's actually, but that's a whole different story. But Janesville, like I said, sleepy town. But Woodman's grocery store founded in Janesville. Farm and Fleet founded in Janesville. You've got Parts Unlimited, which is another big into motorsports. So there's bigger businesses here, but not necessarily directly in manufacturing. So it's kind of different for a Midwest town in that way,
Yeah, definitely. I've been through there a lot. I feel like I always used to stop at during 4th of July. They had good fireworks stands that would pop up outside, like right off the main highway. I stopped there many times and then brought that stuff back across the border. So over the last, let's see, you've been in business for what? 17 years, right? 17 going on your 18th year. What's something that now looking back on it, if you could tell your younger self when you first got started, or maybe 2 things, is that, like, I often hear whenever I ask that question, or people ask it of me, it's like, you got to remind yourself to be patient. that's not going to happen overnight, or don't ever do this thing. Don't ever bring in a partner if there's a bad partnership relationship or things like that. What's something that you wish that you could go back in time and tell yourself?
There was one event that one business deal, if you will, that I got involved in that again can't share a whole lot about because there's an NDA on it, but wish I'd never gotten involved in. I did not properly protect myself. We kind of got involved at the design level, early phases of a product development, which I had done successfully 2 or 3 times before, and kept long-term customers from it. But in this case, I just went along with it, didn't put anything really in writing, and it turned around to bite me pretty hard. Lost a lot of money on that deal. Yeah, I always tell my guys in the shop, when anything goes wrong, machine crashes or part gets scrapped or, something of that nature, that learning is expensive. And sometimes you do the expensive part first. So make sure you do the learning part next. And that's really what that event was for me. Was never the type to get lawyers involved in writing contracts and things. But now I realize a little bit more of the value in that. That would be the big one.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like everybody's got to go through something when they're starting or running their business that you're going to make those mistakes. I mean, I've made hundreds of mistakes. I still make mistakes every single day, but I just hope that they're not that big of a mistake or that I don't make it a second time, right? As long as you don't
Mhm.
make the same mistake twice, you're progressing down the right path. When you first came into this year of 2024, did you have any specific goals that you were trying to accomplish in 24 leading into 25 that you said, hey, not necessarily New Year's resolutions, maybe you're doing
Mhm.
them ahead of time, but where you're like, next year, one of my goals or my top 3 goals are this, and what were those goals and how far have you progressed towards them?
Yeah, we definitely set down some goals. I have to admit, writing that stuff down and actively thinking about it's not my best forte. I'm more of an abstract thinker and kind of process it in my head. But my amazing wife, we sat down together and we kind of put some stuff in writing. And we definitely had some goals for this year. Higher sales targets that were also going to require some staffing. And then kind of the end target for the year was to begin the planning for an addition on the facility. So that's where we started the year at. We had some staffing changes that couldn't do anything about that kind of hindered some of that. So we definitely made some progress on those, but probably not going to get quite as far as we wanted. But that's when you sit down, you reassess, and you reevaluate those goals. We're a small business, with 10 employees, includes myself, and that's all you can do. That's the goal for now, and you work towards it. And if you don't hit it, then don't beat yourself up over it. Spend some time to evaluate, decide if it was a reasonable goal, why you didn't hit it, or if there was maybe something that was theoretically in your control, but realistically not, or, maybe you had control over it. But then at that point, those are sunk costs, right? You can't do anything about changing the past. So now you set new goals for the next 12 months. And maybe those weren't where they were 12 months prior, but that's just life.
I mean, I 100% agree with the goal thing because the only thing you have to be careful about is that if you find yourself multiple years in a row setting goals, reassessing them, or maybe it's the same goal and you're not hitting it, and I've done this myself numerous times, is like you're pushing that goal out, whereas eventually you may have to take some massive action to change something in order to reach that goal. And sometimes that action may not be fun to take, but something's got to change. I'm a big fan of setting goals, writing them down, uh, affirmation as much as possible. Whether you wrote it down on your phone, look at it. Ideally, daily, weekly, monthly, setting up the game plan of how are you going to accomplish these goals. But I 100% agree. If something happens and you can't reach that goal, it's just look at what happened. How can you reassess it? Set a new milestone or timeline to that goal. Learn from why you didn't accomplish it in the first place. Hey, maybe my plan wasn't the best, and I'm going to add a couple of steps in there, and maybe my timeline was not realistic with that goal. So you reassess and go after it again. But as long as you don't stop trying to shoot for that goal, then you're never going to fail, right? So
Right.
that's the key, and I'm glad that you're setting the goals and realizing like, hey, we just reassess it, especially with people breaking stuff at the shop and learning experience, stuff like that. I mean, you're learning from the mistakes in the past. I feel like most business owners do, and you're going to continue to grow and thrive as long as you're not making those same mistakes again and saying, hey, what can we learn from this experience? Let's not do it again and move on and try and put things in place to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So besides the machine winning at IMTS, what do you feel like were a couple of key milestones throughout your path this year um, as a business owner? Was there anything that stood out where you're like, this event took place, or this thing I implemented, or this process changed, and it
Mm-hmm.
set me down a different trajectory?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple things. One is the which I've talked about here and there before, is the Mori lathe turning center that we spent a good amount of time getting set up, doing some rebuilding on, and then putting the 22-foot FMB bar feeder on it. Was huge for one of our product lines that we manufacture exclusively for this customer, and basically quadrupled our capacity. That was huge for us, and that's been online. There's still some little challenges here and there. It is, in fact, an older machine, so it needs a little bit more repair and maintenance, but that's kind of inevitable with any machine sooner or later. So that was one big thing. The next big thing I think we did is we made the conscious decision to bring on a full-time sales role, sales marketing role. It's hard to say what that looks like in a company our size, but we hired someone initially who didn't work out for their own personal reasons. There's a little bit too much of a commute involved, I think, was probably part of it. But now we have Adam working for us full time, and he's got a lot of energy. He's great to have on the team. I think that's going to be the next real thing to kind of launch us, is staying consistent in getting those customer contacts. I find myself in the shop a lot, whether it's training, programming, or fixing equipment. That's stuff I'm really good at. So bringing somebody else in that's better at that, the sales, the outreach, and the customer service component, I think is going to be huge.
First thing with the bar feeder, what was it? Something? Did you guys have an opportunity? Like, was it a client that forced that decision? You got a project. You're like, hey, in order for me to do this project, I got to buy this equipment. Was it, hey, we've been planning on this all along. It's time to pull the trigger, invest the money. What was that initial thing that triggered it?
It's been a product that we've been making for over a decade, but it was fairly labor intensive because of the processes involved, and the machining is relatively simple. There's just a lot of material handling involved. Biggest labor component was really the material handling. And I've always known getting it into a machine that can take the long sticks, the 21-foot sticks, was going to be critical to eliminating that labor component. So I don't know, I'm always scouring used machines and looking for what's out there, and happened to cross a used bar feeder that would do just the thing, and paired it with the Mori because it also had a feature that we needed to allow through feeding. They're not like super rare to find, but they kind of fell together just at the right time. And, so that was that trigger event, was, I guess, finding them available, and then spending the effort into them. It took hundreds of hours to get them to the running point, but was definitely been a good investment.
And you made a recent new addition to your arsenal of tools that you have. You're now going live on LinkedIn and creating content. So talk to me about that experience, because I know that it's not something you're like, you know what, I want to do this year. I want to go live on LinkedIn. I want to start making videos, and it took some convincing to get you there. But walk me through that process of like first thoughts at the idea of it to first time you did it, and now second time that you've done it. What was that like? Because there's a lot of people out there that are like, I know I should make content. I know I should shoot videos, but I don't want to. That's not my personality. Like, this isn't cool. Walk me through kind of your struggles or thoughts or feelings when you first started doing it.
Going live on LinkedIn and becoming an influencer, it was not on my 12-month objective list or goal list. A lot of it's just been watching and understanding the market and how things move and change. And to be honest with you, a lot of it's came from you, Kyle. Listening to what you had to say, and then observing what I saw outside of your live streams, and it all matched up. And so to me, it just said, you got to do this. This is like that next step. And I think what really convinced me is we tried doing some filming on site, just recorded, and then break that into content. But then it constantly turned into, oh, let's do another take. And, oh, the audio wasn't quite right. Oh, something in the background looked ugly. And then you just never got it far enough where you could be happy with it. And then that's when it really, you probably said it at one point in one of your live streams, but just record it live. It's already out there on the internet. Everyone can now see it. You ripped off that Band-Aid, and now chop it up, make some more useful content out of it, and just share something authentic. And that's really what I've tried to do with it. I'm not sure what the next evolution of it might be. We've done officially 2 live streams. Well, I guess 3 if you count the short little live stream I did down in IMTS. But 2 as part of our like machining is campaign. But yeah, just trying to be authentic with it, be who we are, and hope that it provides value or insights to kind of everyone out there. I don't really like preparing for them. I'll be honest. It's not my niche, but definitely getting more comfortable with it. I mean, it's something with practice. It's like cold calling, picking up the phone and getting used to just cold calling somebody, the old school pick up the phone style. It's really, really hard the first few times you do it, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I feel like that's kind of where this evolution is heading with the live streams and the content. So
yeah, man, before you know it, you're gonna be like, I want to go live multiple times a week, guys, because this is fun. I'm producing content. It's eventually going to turn into revenue for you. People are going to get to know you, and they're going to be like, yeah, I want Tim's company to make these parts for me. You never know.
Yeah.
Does your wife work in the business with you?
Yes. So we're.
And what's her role? Is she the money girl?
Yeah, she helps take care of the books, of course, but we work very much together in the management of the company. That kind of transpired after that bad business decision I referred to a while back that happened, where I should have had some legal documents in place but didn't. The fallout from that was a conversation that Amanda and I had, and we doubled down on the business. So she quit her full-time job and came to work for the business full-time. So that would have been in 2018. And that was kind of our double down event. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, there's a thing, for instance, for you. I'm not sure that would have happened, her coming to work for the company, if that bad event hadn't happened. And having her here with me, we work together really, really well. I can't imagine having a better business partner. So it works for us. So yeah, she's full-time. There's some juggling with kids' schedules. Kyle, I know you've got 5 kids. We stopped at 4. But we had our youngest was less than a year old when COVID hit. And so of course that was a massive shift in dynamics. The room I'm sitting in right now actually was converted to a classroom for a couple of years. But yeah, Amanda really helps me to stay better prioritized. Like I said, I tend to be more of the abstract daydreamer, even, if you will. And she really helps keep me centered. And, I wouldn't be able to do the things we do without her supporting me and helping me. And we're looking at maybe a podcast opportunity. I got to ask her again about that. So
similar to you guys, my wife joined our business about a year ago or so. And I feel like we've got some similarities here. I am the visionary, big think, dreamer, goal setter, like I want to take over the world and do it and all that stuff. And then she's more of the boots on the ground. Okay, here's what we need to do to get you to that goal, and managing the team and all that stuff. So very similar situation where I'm doing content and sales and marketing and stuff and strategy, and then she's the COO. So everybody essentially reports to her, and she's more of like the get it done type of person. Tasks, templates, processes, running operations, making sure nothing ever gets forgotten. Then she's also in control of the money. So when people are like,
Sure.
Kyle, we need to get this thing, and when Laura comes to me and is like, she's got this list of equipment we need to buy, I'm like, she knows not even to come to me, because I'm like,
Right.
go to the money person, see if you can convince her to spend that $1,000 on that equipment. So yeah, that's definitely cool to see. I feel like you going in it on your own essentially for like 11 years, and then now having somebody that is in it with you in the day to day. One thing that we struggle with, tell me if you guys are similar, we're always talking about work like 24/7. And yeah, we've got 5 kids ranging from our youngest is going to turn 2 in December. So we've got them from right now about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, to 15 years old. 3 girls, 2 boys, and we're busy. And then we're all like,
Yeah.
even at night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock rolls around. All the kids are now either in bed or don't need adult supervision, and then we're usually like working. She's working, I'm working. Do you guys find that you're just like constantly talking about work, or have you set boundaries in place that are healthier than ours?
Well, I'm not going to be the judge of what's healthy boundaries for any set couple. But we work in an industry that's a lot more tangible. So a lot of the stuff that we have to do, you can't really do unless you're here. So I think that helps a little bit. But no, there's definitely some conversations that you're climbing into bed for the night, and then it's, oh yeah, this thing. And sometimes we're both in the frame of mind to talk about it, but sometimes it's like, can we park that till tomorrow? And we're both fairly heavily involved in other things too. So sometimes that takes some time, but yeah, juggling the kids and homework and dinner. I wouldn't say that there's set boundaries. I think a lot of times it's just you get to the end of the day and it's like, I got to go to bed. I'm tired.
Yeah, I found even last night, I think it was almost midnight, and we're in bed, and she's got her computer, and we're talking about reporting, a new reporting system we're using, and she's like, hey, and she asked me a question. I was like, it's literally 3 minutes till midnight. I do not want to talk about solving a challenge with a new tool that we're using. We can talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But how old are your kids? What's the range, and boy, girl, what's going on there?
Yeah. So oldest is about to turn 11. And so we got girls 11, 9, and then 2 boys, 7 and 5. So we kind of had them all pretty tight window there.
Yeah, that's a
So
good spacing. You've got it to where they're close enough, but far enough apart to where you're not crazy when they're babies, right? You got a couple year
right.
gap, which is
Yeah.
smart. I'm in the same situation, and that 11-year-old, I tell you, don't let people fool you that the whole, like, when the girls get into their teens, they become monsters. Mine didn't. They become
Okay.
super helpful though. My 15-year-old is like babysitting now our little kids. If we want to, like on a Friday night or something like that, we want to go out, she's able to babysit. She has her friends over that are 15 that can babysit. And I'm just looking forward to, she turns 16 next May. And if she saves up enough money and we get her a car, then I'm like, I don't have to drive all the other kids to places. You got a car, man. You're part of the adult world. You can now help commute everywhere that these kids need to go, including herself. So
Right. When you're in a more metropolitan area, so I'm sure you guys end up doing a little bit more driving. You know, we're I've got a 3-minute commute to the shop, and our kids, close enough to walk to school. So, but yeah,
yeah.
that being able to get around, that's going to be a blessing and a burden to the oldest.
Oh yeah. So we've got our office is only about 10 minutes without traffic from our house. The middle school, elementary school are a couple blocks away. The high school's 15-minute drive. But our issue is we've got our 15-year-old is in high school lacrosse plus club lacrosse, and then our 12-year-old's in competitive cheer plus private cheer lessons and stretching flyer lessons, and then our 8-year-old is in competitive cheer too at a different gym that also does lessons. And then the lessons that our 8-year-old is in, the 15-year-old is coaching at that gym because she used to
Okay.
do cheer. So it's like every day there's at least 2 to 3 round trips that we have to make after 5 o'clock to some sort of event. And I'm just like, this is insane. But think about, I'm telling Ann, think about when she's driving. Our Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, we don't have to take them here, and our Wednesdays we don't have to pick up at 8:30 when the other ones are going to sleep. So yeah, that's when it's like when those kids turn like 5 or 6 and they start to become self-sufficient for most things,
Mhm.
like snacks and drinks, they can get it themselves. Uh,
Mhm.
I feel like that next milestone is like 14, 15. It's like babysitting, and then they get a car, and it's like, all right, we got a third.
Right, right. It's worth getting them the car
Yeah.
at that point, right?
Yeah, exactly. I see it as an investment into my time and my mental health of driving back and forth. And the thing is, we don't even drive far for the events. But it's the same thing going back towards work, back to home, back towards work. So uh, it's definitely crazy. Let me ask you this question
Mhm.
before we go into some comments after we take a break. What's one thing from a market? So I don't know if you know this, but we have a marketing agency. We do stuff for
I,
people.
I've heard
What's
about it a few times. Yeah.
Have you? Yeah, I try
Yeah.
not to self promote too much. Uh, what's one thing from a marketing standpoint that if you could wave a magic wand and be like, poof, it's done? What would that one thing be?
Oh, and poof, it's done. I thought you were going to go a different way with that question, and I had an answer, but now the one thing.
Let's go the different way. What's one thing? What's one
Okay.
thing that's a focus of yours that you wish that somebody could just come in and do?
Well, so here's the big thing that I've taken away from your lessons as I treat them. They're learning from me every week, is to be consistent. That's the big thing. You can take any marketing strategy you want, and they're all going to fail if you're not consistent with it. And I struggle with it on an everyday basis. Um, it's like, all right, I didn't do a LinkedIn post today. I should do something, right? And so that would maybe be the poof part. It's like I've gotten used to and accustomed to like getting on the camera and taking pictures of things, but it's the getting the calendar set up so they all just get posted out there. That's the struggle there.
Yeah, so it's really like you because it's got to be a priority, but there's also a million other priorities. So this is just
Mhm.
one more thing that you have to do in your
Yeah.
mind. Like, I know I have to do this, but this is just one more thing. It's like, all right, now I have to remember to do that and make time for it, and maybe think a little bit and be creative.
Right.
Um, like that's something that I feel like most people in your situation where you're trying to grow the business, run the business, do the management with your wife, make sure that the team that you have is set up for success and manage the people and be a good role model and lead your family and all that stuff. And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah. And then you got to don't forget to do those 3 LinkedIn posts this week or those 2 LinkedIn
Right.
posts. It's like, shoot, that's like the least of my concerns right now. But you have to do them
Right.
for future. But yeah, I get that. I get that struggle a lot. I can totally
hmm
understand that.
Here's one little thing I do that you might find surprising is I don't actually have LinkedIn logged in on my phone. I found I had to
Okay.
do that. I basically have no social media on my phone because it was a limitation of myself. When I went down to IMTS, of course, I logged it in and I was using it actively. But um, so for me, it's not like I could go. I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't. I'm not good at setting that limit, so I have to do all that stuff during the workday so that I don't distract myself with it at home. You know what I mean?
I totally get that. I've got a rule for myself. When I get home, I basically put my phone down and I don't touch it again unless I need to. My kid says, "Hey, we got to order this thing for you. You got to sign me up for this, whatever." But I pretty much do not touch my phone from the hours of like 5:15 at night until about 9:30, and then even still,
Sure.
I try and just completely stay off of it unless I need it because I give the business 100% of my attention during the day. I'm trying to give my kids 100% of my attention for those 4 to 4.5 hours that I'm awake with them at night before they go to sleep. And then after that, then it's like, okay, personal time. Are we working out? Are we going for a walk? Because we have a home gym in our garage. Give my wife attention and time. And then we've got to talk about business stuff. So it's like, I just put my phone down and say, I don't even need it. It's in
Yeah.
my pocket. I don't even look at it. There's no need for it. So I totally understand the boundary side. So the question was up on the screen. Tim, do you have any industry related book suggestions? I'm creeping the bookshelf behind you.
um, you know, it's not industry related, but it's I guess owner or managerial related. This is a pretty good book that it's called The Coaching Habit. Say less, ask more, and change the way you lead forever. This has helped me in a lot of the different things we're working on right now at my shop, because of course, when you own a business, a lot of your time is spent not just making parts in my case, but working with people. But also in other things I do with my life. I'm very active in our church and leading some leadership roles there. But also recently I've engaged pretty heavily with Craftsmen with Character. And that's a kind of a new thing that's getting started. Well, it's not that new, but a new thing for me that's really focused on kind of a mentorship job shadowing program with high school students. And reading that book and having that understanding before I walked into a classroom environment like that was very helpful.
All right, I'm going to read the questions. That is a great answer. I actually do have that same book,
Do
Coaching
you
Habits,
really?
at my house. Yes, I do. That's one of my many books. That's a great book. It's as soon as because I didn't remember the title, but as soon as you flipped it around, I saw that front. I was like, "Yep, that's
Huh.
that." I read it, and that's actually in my nightstand next to my bed.
There you go. Great minds and all that, right?
Exactly. All right, Laura, throw up the next question. I will read it. So Mike says, I'm curious about Tim's outlook on the manufacturing economy the remainder of this year and into 2025. What do you think, Tim?
What do I think? I think the remainder of this year is going to tend to be a bit slow, like it is. I think that happens every election year. Everyone just kind of sits and waits, and then they realize after the election it doesn't matter. They still needed to buy it anyways. It's just emotion stuff, I guess. It doesn't mean there's going to be a huge surge in 2025, but I think you're going to see it pretty much put back up to what it was pre-election jitters. I think generally speaking, manufacturing is going to be a big push to bring it back, but we aren't staffed to do it in a big way, is largely speaking as an industry. So there's going to be a lot of demand there, but as far as economic output, it's going to trail behind that demand until we spend the time, effort, and resources to get that well-trained workforce that we've let sit and not done much with for the last 20 years. So
Yeah. From my standpoint, 100% agree. This is presidential election time frame, right? Everybody freaks out. Is like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then they realize, for the most part, unless you're talking about tax rebates on R&D and stuff like that, it's not going to drastically what the decision is from the people going to sway you one direction or another. However, I also agree that everybody wants to, even if somebody comes in and says, I want to bring manufacturing all back to the United States. Like you said, number one, you don't have the workforce to do it. And the problem with it is that everything, in my opinion, that we're doing today or have been doing for the last couple of years, we're not going to see the full benefit of that for like 5 to 10 years down the road, right? So it's such a massive boulder to start rolling down that hill that, like, we've barely pushed it over the last 10 years because, like you said, for 20, 25 years, nobody's been pushing stuff out there to the young generation. And meanwhile, tech and all that stuff has been shoved down the throats of kids. Everybody wants to go into that, to where it's like, oh, manufacturing isn't that cool. So we're not going to really reap all the benefits of what we're doing today for at least 5 to 10 years. And it's going to be like, good thing we did that. Last question, then is Tom. Adam Schmidt says, who you might know this guy. Tim, what are some good takeaways from your tenure with knowing and listening to Kyle and the MFG tribe over the years? What has stuck with you? All right. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate Adam asking that question.
Yeah. The big thing that stuck with me is consistency. It really has. Marketing, it's a long-term endeavor. I point out, I was very, very fortunate to win that machine, right? It would be great things for Accurate Machine, whether I was popular on LinkedIn or not. But because of the efforts and time and resources we've spent into developing that, particularly LinkedIn, but that's all kind of underlying marketing techniques, we're going to be able to take bigger advantage of that opportunity. We're going to leverage this, generous gift from Kennametal and DN, but we're going to be able to do more with it because of that groundwork and foundation we've laid. You got to keep on it. You got to keep doing it because you never know what's going to happen next that's going to prove the value in it. Other than that, there is a little bit of data focus. Kyle says about data a lot, and it's pretty hard to get at when you're as small as we are and relatively new to the space. But yeah, you can't just keep doing the same thing without thinking about how to improve it. So you got to keep doing something, maybe not quite the same, but keep tweaking. Small little tweaks, when you're trying to improve your time on the racetrack, you don't yank the whole engine out. You try to adjust it and tune it first.
Yeah, exactly. That's where winning that machine, getting the attention on social, had you not, like you said, done the things for the past X amount of time, people would be like, who is this guy? But because you've been active and you're super, even though you haven't been creating content for the entire year, you're engaging, you're going to people's lives, you're asking questions, you're leaving comments. So just by doing that, people are like, oh, Tim, he won a machine. And then it's like, take that attention and try and do something with it, which you've been doing great at. That's what it's all about. One thing that I would say that helped me on the content creation side is if you can get other people at the company to hold you accountable to it, it makes it a lot easier to do it. So for instance, Laura's in charge of an entire video team as well as our content. So for her to schedule a live next week on Tuesday, topics already set, the creative's already been done, the graph, whatever we're gonna do, people are already inviting people to it. I can't then on Monday be like, dude, I can't go live tomorrow. She'll be like, you're going live tomorrow. We've already done,
Right?
It's already on the schedule. You can't get away from it. That's something that I've been fortunate to have a team that can hold me accountable to do the things that they know I want to do. But I would say 7 times out of 10, going into it, I'm like, I really don't want to do that. I do not want to I don't want to sit here and shoot videos for 2 hours. I don't want to go and film this stuff because I'm in a different headspace. I'm doing strategy or doing technology stuff or client stuff. And then it's like, hey, I know that you just got out of a meeting, but you got to come in here and shoot an hour and a half worth of talking head videos that we're going to chop up. So yeah, getting the team to hold them accountable. Maybe Adam's going to do that for you. Maybe you can, just pass on to him, be like, dude, we need to do this much. This is one of my expectations. We need to go live this many times. I'm gonna put the accountability on you to poke me on topics, hold me accountable to it, and we're gonna go live. And I want you to force me to do it. I think that works out in a good situation. So Tim, I appreciate you jumping on, spending an hour with me. Last question that I have for you would be, if there is anything that we could do for you right now that's a thorn in your side or something that would drastically, like a one-time thing that would drastically excel your marketing, what would it be? Is it like a website? Is it some creative? Is it like, give me something that we could do for you that could give you that extra push with your marketing?
So website for us, we're married to our ERP system, which teach their own, but it also does our ecom for one of our other things. A big thing for us, I would love to have like a snazzy video. Listen to me, snazzy, but a video like you guys put together. I see the different look your team put together every week. I don't know that would really be like the marketing key that we need, but if I had that to show people, it would just make me go.
Like a company overview video of you or something for your show.
Something for just like one of those 30-second reels. You'd have to get content from us, but just where it's like snapping back and forth with some of my dialogue over top.
All right, man. You asked for it, so we're gonna do it now.
No.
we will create you a hype video. That's what we call those.
Oh, okay. See?
So we'll create you a 30 to 60-second hype video. I'll have Laura reach out probably after FabTech, Laura. So post FabTech, her head is spinning. We will create that for you. We're gonna need you to get some you, Adam, whoever at the shop, set up your iPhone sideways on a tripod, get some panning shots. We've got footage that we can use as well as if you're talking in the machine type footage and machining and
Sure.
sparks flying. And then if you have a voiceover, we can show you how to record that. Get that content over to us. We'll create you a badass hype video that you can put up on social, your website, whatever.
Yeah.
That is easy. I'm ready to give away a website to you, man. I thought you were going to say I need a new website. I'd say let's go. We're going to do it because
Yeah.
we appreciate all you've done for us. So yeah, we will create a video for you. Maybe Laura's going to be doing it and be like, you know what? Tim needs some graphics. Tim needs a thumbnail for his show. She might come at you and say, hey, we also created this thumbnail for you to put when you schedule your show.
I was going to say one thing we have planned is we've got a GoPro Hero 11 that we're going to be putting inside that DN to shoot some content. So, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, you get us that content as well as some newer iPhone content. I mean, that stuff shoots in high res over 4K. So get us some of that and we can put together some good stuff. One last thing. I don't know if this is possible for you to make for me, but I will pay you to do it. But is there any way that I could pay you to make me a MFG Tribe like sign, like out of a piece of metal that you just cut out? I know that I'm thinking like laser cutting sheet of metal, but is there anything that you guys have a footprint to where let me pay you a few $100 for it because I'm gonna need you to ship it to me too. Can I pay you because you're my closest machining friend? Can I pay you to make me something cool that I can hang up on the wall?
We could get something laid out. We don't have it depends on the size you're talking. If it's not something big, then yeah, we've got a really close relationship with a laser cutting shop that's literally across the street. We drive the forklifts back and forth. And so, yeah, there's definitely some options. We could get something going with that for sure.
Okay. Yeah. You start that relationship. Just get me on an email chain, and I want something ideally to like put up on a wall where it's like our brand logo cut out. I think that would look really cool for us here at the Tribe.
Yeah, we can sketch together some concepts of it and then see what sparks your interest and get some laser cut out. That would be pretty sweet. We might even be able to go over there and shoot some video of it being cut.
There you go, dude. I would love that. So hook me up on email with that connection, and we can get a design going, and then I'll ask them how much this is going to cost me because we need it. We've been talking about it for about a year. I think Laura might have had the original idea. Laura or Alex was like, "Wouldn't it be cool if we just had like this big metal sign that somebody fabricated behind us with our logo?" Was Alex? Yeah, Alex thought of it like probably a year ago. So, all right, guys, that is it. That's it with Tim. This episode of Talk Shop. Be sure to stay tuned to my channel and his channel for when he's going live. You guys better be following Tim on LinkedIn and engage with his live content because he's got a great message to share out there about machining and getting younger people involved and the lessons that you've learned and how machining is personal to you and to everybody. So guys, that's it for this episode. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, keep following me on LinkedIn, and I will see you on the next one.